One of the things that really amazes me is the people's love for yoga. You go to a small country town, to big cities, you come across yoga studios all over the places. And there are a great many yogis who claim to have known, who claim to have awakened their energy, higher energy, teaching great many people, promising them nirvana, liberation, moksha, happiness, or whatever it may be, for $10-20. And one sits in this small cafe to have a cup of tea or coffee. One overhears these people, especially the young ones, talking about yoga, meditation, and the spirituality in a broader sense. Upon hearing these people, one asks oneself, what do these people want to achieve by practicing yoga? What is the motive behind these yoga postures or breathing exercises? Is it because somebody else has told them that if you practice these things, you will be more happier, more joyous, your life will be more fulfilled? Or is it that they want to have a healthy body, healthy emotion, healthy thoughts, so that their body, mind, emotion is one, therefore they have great deal of energy to do great many things in their lives? Or is it because they want to find out if there is something beyond this matter, these material forms? Because they have all kinds of pleasures in their lives. They have had money, they have had pleasures of all sorts. They can be bought and sold in the marketplace, and that can give certain momentary happiness, momentary joys. But anything that is measurable must go through transformation, must change. So the happiness of yesterday can become a sadness today. So there is no guarantee that the pleasure I have had yesterday will be repeated today. There is no guarantee. So that people are fed up with it, sick of it. So they just want to have something that sustains their life, something permanent. Is that what they hope to achieve by practicing all these things? One asks these questions not as a reaction, but as an inquiry, investigation. What is the motive behind all this fascination of yoga, meditation, and all these things? Why should one do yoga at all? Why does yoga lead one? You see, yoga was originated in Hinduism a very, very long time ago. And in the past, yoga was taught in a room to every separate individuals. The master, the teacher who knew yoga, who valued yoga, put a student in a certain room far away from the city or in a noisy areas, in the cave, especially in the Himalayas or somewhere, and they studied the moods, the emotions of that person for quite a long time to determine what kind of person is that, whether that person is rajasic, tamasic, sattvic, or passive, active, or neutral. What kind of person is he? The teacher studied the whole behavior of that person before he gave any methods, any systems to the learner. But now, as we can see that people are put together, hundreds of people, so tens of people in a small room or a small place, and just taught yoga. and people just go on imitating each other. I find there's a great irony behind this. There is irony because when people are put together, first of all, they not only imitate the postures of each other's, but they begin to measure, compare the material stuff that other people have. Some people have an expensive yoga mat, and instead of concentrating, focusing on postures, one looks at other person and says, "Oh, I wish I had that water bottle, very expensive, very nice, or that yoga mat, or that outfit." Right? Now, the irony is that in the first place, measurement can only give a temporary happiness. There is no guarantee that yesterday's happiness will continue today and tomorrow. There's always, in time changes everything. There's no such thing as permanent happiness in a technological world. It can give certain happiness, but it's not permanent. So when one realizes that, one goes in search of something else, which stumbles upon yoga, meditations, all kinds of things, and somebody promises that if you do this, you will be happy permanently. And then one begin to practice all that thing. But you see, one falls into the same trap again. One is trying to go beyond measurement, but even there, one begins to measure. And that measurement, that practice, becomes mechanical, a routine. It becomes a habit. And that habit conditions one's mind, one's body so much that if one cannot have that, one becomes cranky. I have met, forgive me, I am not judging, comparing anybody, but I have met so many great yogis who have practiced yoga for years and years. Once I met a yogi who practiced yoga for 25 years, every day. And when he cannot have, he wants to practice yoga outside. But sometimes it rains, he cannot practice yoga, and he curses. He feels great, frustration, sadness. It conditions the mind, and it becomes subtle form of drugs. It sustains life. That practice, that method. And you see, when yoga becomes a mechanical, yoga has no value. Absolutely no value. Because in a yoga scriptures is clearly written that there must be abhyasa and vairagya, which means consistent practice and desirelessness. There should be no desire. There should be no attachment to body, to method, to systems. There should be awareness. That is the purpose of yoga. Doing all this physical movement is to establish oneself in awareness. There is, when one practices certain postures, there is attention. The word attention means attending. And when there is that attending, there is awareness. That is the purpose of yoga. But when one keeps on doing the same thing every day, there is no awareness. There is dullness. So I think that most of the people fall into this trap of mechanicalness. In the name of yoga, they do all kinds of gymnastics, and they feel so great by doing all that. And I have done something, I've achieved something. But on the contrary, yoga is not an achievement. It cannot be. That was not what ancients meant by yoga. For the ancients, we have great many capacities in us, but our energy is all fragmented. They're not working together in harmony. So to have energy, there must be yoga. There must be unity between our centers, between our thoughts, emotions, and body, so that we have great deal of energy to do great many things. And when that energy is one river, that's a pure energy, and that energy itself decides what is right and what is wrong. It's not our thought, our opinion. We usually use only our thought to decide what is wrong and what is right. But when energy of the body, mind, and emotion becomes one, that energy itself decides. So in the ancient time, yoga wasn't taught in a group. Yoga was taught for a single individual kept in a room, and he studied that person, what kind of person that he or she was, and then given certain postures, certain breathing exercises, little by little. But now that spirit of the ancient yoga has been completely lost. In the name of progress, in the name of progression, that people have invented all kinds of gymnastics, and it is unfortunate that all these really beautiful things, which was taught for very, very few, those who were serious enough, serious not in a sense having a long face and all that, but serious in a sense really wants to find out. It wasn't available for everybody in the past. It is only last 40, 50 or even 60 years that the yoga has been spreading all over the world. It's like a wildfire, and what remains behind it is just the ashes. The beauty of yoga, the great beauty has been totally lost. It is quite unfortunate. And you see, why don't people ask, what is yoga? That is the important thing to find out, not what kind of postures I should practice. First thing, find out what yoga is. Because in finding out what yoga is, one begins to do yoga. Because everything is postures. In Hatha Yoga scriptures, they say that there are 8.5 million, 8,400,000 postures, which is to say that everything in the world, everything we see, everything that has form, is in postures. A blade of grass is in perfect postures. So postures is not the problem. So why people do not ask, investigate, inquire what is yoga, and just always go out there to look for somebody who knows yoga postures, breathing exercise. It has become a fashion. You see, yoga has become fashion. If one goes to a yoga places and one looks at each other, one looks at people, they're actually comparing each other. They're not doing any yoga, because there must be complete awareness, complete attention on oneself, not someone else out there. You cannot have awareness, you cannot have attention by looking at others. You have to look within oneself. Because that is what the whole Eastern teaching means. Not to just believe what other people have said, not to measure, not to compare, but to ask oneself, investigate, question, doubt. That's what Buddha means when he says, Apo Dipo Bhava. Be the lamp of yourself. Because the lamp that is given by another can be taken away, can be blown off anytime. But if you become that lamp, that light, nobody can take it away. It is yours forever. So that is the spirit of the yoga, meditation, or whole of Eastern teachings. But you see, unfortunately, the West and most of the East as well has made yoga, meditation a business thing. I apologize again, I could be wrong, but my observation is that people are concerned about money, how to bring more money, and in order to bring money you have to make everything very marketable, and you have to spice things up, and in that process of spicing things up, the essence of yoga, at least I feel so, has lost, sadly. And my request to you is, if you are serious about yoga, please understand what yoga is. There's two words in French language, comprendre. Prendre means to take, comprendre means to understand. You will understand when you take it all. COM means all. When you take it all, then you understand. It's not only verbal understanding, but the understanding with the whole mass, whole being. So understand that yoga isn't just the postures. Everything out there in postures, perfect postures. A tree is in a posture. A blade of grass is in a perfect posture. So just by doing certain postures, being able to do headstand, doesn't mean one is perfect yogi. Yoga has three purposes, especially basically to develop capacity to be, to learn, and to know. Because our mind and body aren't two different things. They're not separate things. They're together, psychosomatic. When the mind is affected, body is affected. When body is affected, mind is affected too. So, when we develop this capacity to be bodily by posture, by exercises, that our mind automatically becomes still, and that only in that stillness, which is the silence, can one know about oneself, can observe about oneself. And when one develops that capacity to be, and that capacity is, when fully developed, the capacity to be, in that there is great learning about oneself. That is the basic essence of yoga. Not just going out there and imitating each other and talking about all these things. One may read all these scriptures, one may know everything about yoga, but one may not be yogi unless one really goes into yoga very deeply and understand the purpose, the value of yoga. And it's a very simple thing. It's not as complicated as people have made it out to be. Yoga is when you are in a perfect postures, not only outward postures, but inward postures too. Thank you so much.